Good afternoon. This is Pastor Chris again. Good to be with you here today. Good to bring another daily devotional to you. And what I'd like to do today is actually address some resources that we can be using during this time when we probably have more time home with our families, home to study, and to really dig into what it means to be a Christian. And so today, what I'm going to be addressing is mostly Christian men, and in particular husbands, but these are very applicable to all men for sure. And so I just wanted to go through a few resources that I have found incredibly helpful for me in my life, and I kind of continue going back to these particular resources because they are very helpful, they are convicting. I am reminded over and over again of my personal downfalls in my own personal life as a man, as a husband, as a father, and so today we're going to be going through men's resources. I'd like to do another video on resources for parents and another resource for women. And so today, again, we're going to focus on some great resources for men. If you have young men, consider getting these for them, especially if they're in their teenage years. They are a great help. And really are very practical to understand. So the first one that I would like to just talk about is by Justin Buzzard. It's called Date Your Wife, and is a very good, straightforward book on how to actually maintain a love for your wife throughout your entire life. So it goes through and breaks things down through the good, the bad, and the new. So talking about the beginning of marriage and things like that, what can go wrong in marriages, what men often do in failures, and the new meaning how we can be sanctified through those things. And then it ends with the perfect, which of course is at death. But again, very good book, very helpful. I would highly recommend this for all men that have especially been married for a little while. Secondly, and this is by Matt Chandler and Jared Wilson, this is a very good book called The Mingling of Souls. If you happen to get this book, I would recommend you actually read it with your spouse if you are married. If you're not married, if you're single, this is also helpful for you. If you're considering marriage, it goes through things such as attraction before you are married, dating, courtship, wedding bells, the two becoming one flesh, fighting fair, logs on the fire, and I'm not going anywhere. Maddie and I have both read this book. It's a very good book, very helpful for us in our marriage. It's convicting and encouraging, so I would highly recommend that to you. All right, so for husbands, I can't recommend this highly enough. It's called The Exemplary Husband by Stuart Scott, and it just really goes through marriage from a biblical perspective, and he's got a few different sections in this book. So it's called the first part is a husband's recognitions, a husband's responsibilities, a husband's resolves, and a husband's regrets. And so very helpful to walk through all of these aspects of being a husband, our role as husbands, and how to understand that role, how to understand our responsibilities, how to actually set a resolve to fulfill those things, and how to deal with our failures. Again, incredible book by Stuart Scott. I would highly recommend that for every husband out there. Maybe after you read one or both of the books that I've already mentioned, this would be a good place to go. And lastly, R. Kent Hughes, The Disciplines of a Godly Man. This is great for all men, not just husbands. This is good for all Christian men. It really just lays out the necessity of where to discipline our lives and how to discipline our lives. And he breaks it up as well into the disciplines in relationships, the disciplines of the soul, disciplines of character, disciplines of ministry, discipline itself. And then he gives an incredibly good list of resources that you can use in your life. So again, that is The Disciplines of a Godly Man. I can't recommend any of these books enough for the Christian men of our church. So with the extra time that you have, hopefully, I would highly encourage you, go get some of these, go through them slowly, really consider what they're saying, and evaluate your own life in terms of its godliness, how you're following God, how you're leading your family, and how you're following Christ, and just seek to improve. None of us are there yet. I could probably keep going through these 4 books for the rest of my life and learn every time I go through them. So again, I highly recommend.